So that's where I decided to start my
Is
investigation.
that a yes or no?
Well, it's a yes and no. I was a member of the marching band, but I was also a member of the school as a whole.
But you didn't search any other part of the school, correct, for drugs?
Well, counsel, I was an undercover student. I was looking out for suspicious activity all the while.
Well, Mr. Doherty, you specifically, though, were put into the band to search for drugs, correct?
I specifically chose myself to become a member of the band, as well as other classes.
So neither the principal nor your law enforcement hirees hired you to go and infiltrate the band for drugs, is what you're telling me?
Your counsel, I was there to investigate the school. Principal McAllister was suspicious that the source of the drugs was coming from the band, so I decided to try out for the band and begin my investigation.
But you didn't search any other part of the school then, correct?
Counsel, I was a member of the school and was looking out for
Yes or
suspicious
no,
activity.
Mr. Doherty?
Objection,
I'd have to-
asked and answered.
Actually, it has been asked and answered. You can answer maybe or any other answer. Yes or no or not is only two choices, so the objection is sustained.
May I be heard, Your Honor,
All right.
please? I'm specifically asking if you searched the school for drugs, and as we went over, and this is,
You asked that several times.
right, and nowhere within his testimony does it say that he searched the school for drugs, but that he specifically was searching the band for drugs, Your Honor.
Well, I think you gave a fair answer consistent with the witness statement that's contained in the problem. Consequently, I guess it's your objection to his testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, you saw Mr. Concha at A-Frame Market, correct?
Yes, on February 22nd.
And you saw him in the grocery store, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you saw his car in the parking garage, or in the parking lot, correct?
Yes, I did. His green Buick SUV.
And it was dark at night, right?
Yeah, it was dark.
And his windows were tinted, correct?
All windows except for the front windshield.
Is that a yes or no?
It's a sometimes no and sometimes yes. Every window was tinted except for the front windshield.
And you tried to flash your flashlight through the windows, correct?
Well, not only did I try, I did flash my flashlight through the windows.
And did the flashlight enter through the window?
No.
So then you further went on to proceed to hoist yourself up.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance, you deny defense's motion in the pretrial argument.
Response.
Your Honor, the pretrial motion for the defense was to dismiss any evidence that the officer hoisted himself upon the car, and I don't see how this is not relevant to the case, Your Honor.
No, certainly, as he goes to his ability to proceed, the objection is overruled.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor. Now, the day that you arrested Ray Concha, you didn't see the same backpack that you saw in the car that night, correct?
I saw a blue backpack on both occasions.
And the backpack appeared to be the same color that you saw in the A-Frame Market parking lot, as was the backpack that you saw when you arrested him, correct?
Yes, it looked like the same backpack.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Redirect.
Officer Doherty, there's been some confusion about what exactly Principal McAllister wanted you to do. Can you tell the court who hired you?
Yes, I'm hired by the police department. The school requested that an undercover officer investigate the school. I was recruited by my supervisor to fulfill that task. Now, Principal McAllister was suspicious that the source of the drugs was coming from the band. So, on my own accord, I decided to become a member of the marching band, as well as looking out for suspicious activity in the entire school.
Thank you, officer. I have nothing further. May this witness be excused?
Yes.
Before I proceed, Your Honor, the prosecution would like to request a time check.
The prosecution has 3 minutes and 7 seconds remaining for direct and redirect examination. The defense has 3 minutes and 1 second remaining for cross-examination.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, the people would like to call Alex Weaver to the stand.
Calling Alex Weaver to the stand. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony that you are about to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to the facts and rules of the mock trial competition?
I do.
Be seated.
Beaver. And for scoring purposes, my name is Mira Kumar.
Once again, for scoring purposes, my name is Shaina Ahuja. Good evening, Ms. Weaver. How old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
And are you in school?
I'm in college now after graduating from Rosewood this past year.
Can you describe your relationship with Jason Johnson?
Of course. I met Jason on the first day of marching band practice. We'd sit in the back corner and write down these songs that led us to start our band called Double Trouble.
And was Ray Concha in this band?
Sort of. Ray was our manager. He was in charge of booking gigs and spreading the word.
And were you and Ray close?
Yeah, I've been friends with Ray since about the same time I met Jason.
Are you aware of Ray taking any medication?
Since Ray has ADHD, I'd see him take Adderall at school.
Now, do you remember the day of February 16th?
We had a gig that night, but Jason went to a concert instead.
Did Jason return to school the next day?
No, he didn't. I was really worried about him.
Did you talk to anyone about Jason?
Yeah, I went right up to Sam and Ray to see if they knew anything. And Ray said something about Jason taking Adderall.
What happened when Jason Johnson returned to school?
Jason told both me and Ray that he had a heart defect and that he should cut back on taking drugs and alcohol.
Did you have another gig after that?
On March 26th.
And did Jason attend this gig?
Yeah, he did.
How did he look?
Well, he seemed fine at first, but after he shook hands with Ray, he seemed sweaty and anxious.
What did you do about it?
Well, I went right up to him and asked him what was up.
And what did he say?
He didn't say much. He responded by handing me a pill, and he told me it was Adderall.
What did you do with the pill?
I'm ashamed of it now, but I took it.
Now, Ms. Rieger, when was the next time you saw Jason Johnson?
The next morning, the day Jason died, I saw both him and Ray outside by Ray's car in the parking lot, and they shook hands again. And that's when I saw Ray hand something to Jason.
And what happened later that morning?
Well, we all had band practice first period that morning. And that's when it happened. We were just sitting in the back like normal, and then Jason just collapsed. And later I learned that he had died.
Ms. Weaver, what was your reaction to Jason Johnson's death?
I
1
couldn't
minute?
believe it. My first friend at Rosewood had just died. I then went and talked to Principal McAllister about Ray and Jason and the drugs.
Did you speak to anyone else besides Principal McAllister?
I also talked to Officer Doherty.
What were you aware of that urged you to go talk to them?
Earlier that morning, I saw Ray hand something to Jason, which I believed to be Adderall. And I also knew from Jason.
Your Honor, speculation.
Your response?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Weaver said that she believed that what they exchanged was Adderall. Therefore, she's observing it with her 5 senses, and she's not speculating. And this is not speculation.
Well, there's really no foundation at the end of the day, so I'll take the objection as being the foundation as well and sustain it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Weaver, did you finish your response?
Well, I also knew from Jason that Ray had sold him Adderall. And I've also seen Ray sell drugs and marijuana by our car in the parking lot 2 or 3 times before.
Now, Ms. Weaver, what color backpack did you have the day Jason died?
I had a red one.
Thank you, Ms. Weaver. I have no further questions at this time.
Prosecutor.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Weaver, you're a graduate of Rosewood High School, correct?
Yes, I'm in college now.
And you transferred into Rosewood in your senior year, correct?
Yes, I did.
And that was your first year at Rosewood, correct?
Yes, since I transferred there, like I said, yes.
And you were expelled from your former high school, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, relevant?
Your Honor, this is going to the bad character of Ms. Weaver, which is one of the key points in the defense's case tonight.
Your Honor,
Commissioner
yes, Your Honor. Ms. Weaver getting expelled from her old school is an isolated instance, therefore it does not go to the character of Ms. Weaver.
You wish to be heard on that?
Your Honor, of course, being expelled from a former school goes to your character evidence. She was expelled for doing something that was wrong.
Oh,
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. As far as you know, you were a pretty popular kid at Rosewood, correct?
Sorry, did you want me to answer the question
Oh,
about?
yes. You were expelled from your former high school, correct?
Yeah, it was for a prank. We just switched some sugar and salt. I didn't think it was a big deal at the time.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And you were a pretty popular kid at Rosewood, correct?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to make some friends.
It was Ray's responsibility to sell T-shirts and CDs for the band, correct?
Yeah, that was supposed to be what Ray was supposed to be doing.
Well, it was his responsibility, correct?
Yeah, it was what he was supposed to be doing.
And it was common knowledge around school that Mr. Concha had a prescription for Adderall, correct?
Yeah, because he'd take it at school.
You had an argument with Jason before the concert, correct?
Yeah, Jason didn't want to play at one of our gigs.
2 minutes?
And he told you he had a heart defect, correct?
At that time?
Yes.
No.
Well, not at that time, but he told you.
Yeah, he told both me and Ray later.
Ray gave you a ride home after the concert in his SUV, correct?
Yeah, he always gives me rides home because my car doesn't fit my drums.
You took Adderall yourself, correct?
Just that one time on March 26th, yeah.
And you had no legal reason to do so, correct?
No, that's why it was that one and only time. I felt really amped up. I'll never do it again.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Before I proceed, Your Honor, the prosecution would like to request a time check.
The prosecution has 9 seconds remaining for redirect examination.
I'll keep it brief, Your Honor.
I think so.
Ms. Weaver, why were you expelled from your old school?
I just rotated the cafeteria and switched sugar and salt. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Weaver. Your Honor, I have no further questions. May this witness be excused from the stand?
Yes.
The prosecution now rests.
Evidence on behalf of the defense.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call Dr. Casey Burke to the stand.
Calling Dr. Casey Burke to the stand. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony that you are about to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to the facts and rules of the mock trial competition?
I do.
Be seated.
And for scoring purposes, my name is Joel Flores, F-L-O-R-E-S.
Again, for scoring purposes, my name is Will Summerlin. Good evening.
Good evening.
What is your profession, Dr. Burke?
I'm a retired forensic pathologist with a medical degree from Ohio State University Medical School.
Where did you work?
Prior to my retirement, I worked in a private practice for a few years before transferring to Spring County's coroner's office, where I continued to work for 25 more years.
In your professional career, did you publish any books?
Yes, I have. I published a popular college textbook, The Pathology of Drug Abuse, which has become the standard text in forensic medical programs nationwide.
Other than your college textbook, did you publish anything else?
I have. I published a total of 9 professional articles, all in professional journals, all regarding the practice of forensic pathology.
Did you thoroughly examine the medical records of Jason Johnson?
I have.
And what do these records reflect?
According to the records, Jason suffered from hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a congenital heart defect. The consequence is left ventricular hypertrophy. This causes a blockage of blood flow from the left aorta to the left ventricle to the aorta.
What can this blockage lead to?
This blockage causes the patient's heart to pump harder, which causes a depletion of blood flow.
What are some of the most common symptoms of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy?
The most common symptom is atrial fibrillation.
Now, what other factors can cause atrial fibrillation?
Acute alcohol intoxication can also cause atrial fibrillation.
In your opinion, what caused Jason's death?
It was the consumption of alcohol that caused Jason's death. It is the only possible, reasonable explanation for his death.
How much alcohol did Jason consume?
According to the coroner records, Jason, weighing 160 pounds, had a BDC level of 0.05. This calculates to about 4 drinks approximately 2 hours prior to his death.
Now, would a BDC level of 0.05 be sufficient to cause heart palpitations?
In someone without a congenital heart defect, no. However, Jason's HCM and heart condition was severe, heightening the negative effects of the alcohol.
Would the alcohol have been sufficient to cause arrhythmias?
Yes, it would have been sufficient to cause the arrhythmias that would lead to Jason's death.
What did Jason's autopsy report reveal?
The autopsy report revealed that Jason did indeed have an advanced case of HCM.
How would the alcohol have affected Jason's deteriorating heart?
The alcohol, this combination alone of his heart condition and the alcohol would have would have put enough stress on Jason's heart to cause the arrhythmias, which would cause his death.
Now, when combined with the blockage of his left ventricle, what would a VAC level of 0.05 have led to?
This blockage would have caused a depletion of blood flow to the heart, and this decreased volume of blood would lead to the arrhythmias causing his death.
What references would lead someone to this conclusion?
My college textbook, The Pathology of Drug Abuse.
In your professional opinion, did the trace of Adderall in Jason's system cause his death?
No, it is my professional opinion that it was the alcohol that exacerbated Jason's heart condition, leading to his death.
Thank you, Dr. Burke. No further questions, Your Honor.
Cause of family, yes, Your Honor. Once again, for scoring purposes, my name is Shaina Ahuja. Good evening, Dr. Burke.
Good evening.
Now, Adderall is an amphetamine, correct?
That is correct.
And Jason Johnson took 3 pills of Adderall on February 16th, right?
Remaining within the 1 milligram that is permissible, that, yes.
Okay, Dr. Burke, and Jason Johnson did not have a prescription for Adderall, yes or no?
No.
And Adderall was found again in Jason Johnson's system at the time of his death, right?
It was, but just, understand my point. It is not.
Objection, Your Honor, the witness is being non-responsive. I ask the witness a yes or no question.
I disagree. You can answer.
It was, but please understand my position. I have not seen Adderall benefited Jason's at all, but it was his heart condition and the alcohol that is the cause of his death.
Dr. Burke, I didn't ask you about what was the cause of his death. I asked if there was Adderall found in his body at the time of his death. Is that a yes to my question?
According to the autopsy report, yes.
Okay, so wouldn't you agree that taking a prescription drug without a prescription, that's amphetamine abuse?
No.
To clarify, Dr. Burke, you're saying that taking a prescription drug without a prescription or doctor supervision recreationally, that's not amphetamine abuse?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance?
What is the relevance?
Your Honor, I'm asking Dr. Burke about his testimony regarding the amount of Adderall found in Jason Johnson's system not being indicative of amphetamine abuse, whereas Jason Johnson did not have a prescription and any amount would have been amphetamine abuse.
Then what's the point of establishing that it's abuse or not abuse? What conclusion does it reach? No, but help us reach here.
I'm trying to target the witness's credibility.
How does it go to credibility?
Because if Jason Johnson is taking Adderall without a prescription, that is definitely amphetamine abuse and dangerous to him, yet Dr. Burke wrote in his witness statement that the amount of Adderall found in Jason Johnson's system was not suggestive of amphetamine abuse.
Your Honor, may I be heard? As a professional expert, it's his opinion. I don't see how this is relevant in this case.
I agree, sustained.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll move on. Now, because of the side effects of Adderall in the cardiovascular system, Adderall is contraindicated for a person with HCM, correct?
That is correct.
Contraindicating meaning that person should not be taking that drug?
Well, you probably should not be taking drugs that are not prescribed to you. That's common knowledge.
Exactly, Dr. Burke. Now, in your words, you stated that the left ventricle of Jason Johnson was severely thickened, correct?
That is correct. That's because of his heart condition.
Right, and the severe thickening of his left ventricle would put greater stress on his heart muscle, right?
Which is exacerbated through the alcohol.
Okay, Dr. Burke. Now, in fact, Jason Johnson was at an elevated risk from anything that triggered a cardiac arrhythmia, yes or no?
Yes.
And Jason Johnson, in this case, died from a cardiac arrhythmia, yes or no?
Caused by the alcohol, yes.
But a side effect of Adderall is also a cardiac arrhythmia, yes?
Yes, but you need to understand that in this case, his condition was exacerbated through the
Dr. Burke,
alcohol.
a side effect of Adderall is a cardiac arrhythmia, yes or no?
It could be.
Dr. Burke, is it your testimony that a side effect of Adderall is not a cardiac arrhythmia?
Objection, Your Honor. The witness has already answered.
Please repeat the question.
Dr. Burke, is a cardiac arrhythmia a side effect of Adderall? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
You right?
Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Burke, alcohol can also exacerbate the effects of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Is this correct?
As it did in this case.
Objection, Your Honor. Leading question?
May I rephrase the question?
Yes.
Thank you. What was another contributing factor to hypertrophic cardiomyopathy?
Alcohol.
And alcohol was found in Jason's system at the time of his death.
It was.
Thank you, Dr. Burke. No further questions, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused?
You may.
Thank you. Your Honor, the defense would like to call Mr. Avery Perkins to the stand, please.
Calling Avery Perkins to the stand. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony that you are about to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to the facts and rules of the mock trial competition?
I do.
Be seated.
Once again, for scoring purposes, my name is Peter Campbell.
And for scoring purposes, my name is Sam Sorkin, S-O-R-K-I-N.
Good evening, Mr. Perkins. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Perkins, can you please describe your occupation?
Yes, I've been the band director at Rosewood High School for the past 10 years now. I teach concert band and orchestra, and in the spring I direct the school marching band.
And did you know Jason Johnson?
I did. The late Jason Johnson was a student in my band class from his freshman year until his sad death this past March.
And did you know Alice Weaver?
Yes, she transferred into Rosewood High School in her senior year.
And do you know Ray Concha?
Yes, Ray was a student in my band class from his freshman year until his graduation.
Now, to the extent of your knowledge as a teacher, how was Ray and Jason's friendship?
They were good friends, actually, from the first day of freshman band, and they always stuck together.
Now, I talked about Ms. Weaver for a moment. How was did Ms. Weaver act different in the hallways?
Well, she was very popular, and I often saw her carrying around a blue backpack.
Objection, Your Honor, they've been ambiguous as to acting different in the hallways. There's been no foundation of how her behavior was in the classroom.
That's true, rephrase the question. Sustain.
How was, Mr. Perkins, how was Ms. Weaver's behavior in your classroom?
She was very disruptive. She would come to my classroom, not turn in any assignments, and basically not care about anything or anyone.
Objection, Your Honor, respect the lack of personal knowledge that Alex Weaver didn't care about anything or anyone.
You wish to be heard on it?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Perkins is a band teacher, and the question was specifically asked about what Ms. Weaver's actions were in band class, and Mr. Perkins is simply giving his opinion based off what he's seen in band class.
Agreed. Fair inference, overall.
Now, Mr. Perkins, did any of these actions roll over to how she acted throughout the hallways now in school?
Well, she was very popular amongst the other students in the hallways. She would carry around a blue backpack, and I saw her shaking other kids' hands, slapping them on the back, and once I saw her flashing around a large wad of bills.
And being a teacher, is this unusual to see at a high school?
Well, normally it's unusual for a student to be popular and surrounded by other students, but in this case, Alex was a transfer student, and being a transfer student, they're not that popular when transferring into a new school as a senior.
Now, I'd like to talk about Mr. Johnson now for a moment. How was Mr. Johnson in your class?
Well, the late Jason Johnson was a good student in his first 3 years at Rosewood, and he was very enthusiastic.
And did this change throughout the year?
Yes, it changed in his senior year of high school when Alex Weaver came to Rosewood.
And why is that?
Well, Jason and Alex instantly became friends, and after they became friends, Jason started missing rehearsals, and if he ever did show up to band class, he wouldn't pay attention. His spiral downhill really corresponded with Alex Weaver's arrival at Rosewood.
Now, I find
Objection, Your Honor, speculation that Jason Johnson's behavior changed because of Alex Weaver's entering the school. While he can testify that they happened at the same time, he can't definitively conclude why Jason's behavior changed.
Your Honor, I believe Mr. Perkins directly stated that Jason Johnson's behavior was directly affected by Alex Weaver's involvement in the class. But
You need to go a little far. Sustain.
Move to start that testimony.
It's triggered.
So I'd now like to talk about Mr. Concha for a moment. How was Mr. Concha's behavior in your classroom?
Ray was an exemplary student. He was a hard worker, would always turn his work in, and a talented musician. I made him the lead drummer in our band.
And did Ray ever get caught up in any of Alex's problems?
No, Ray's always been a consistently good kid through and through.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Prosecutor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Once again, for scoring purposes, my name is Kate Park.
Good evening, Mr. Perkins.
Good evening.
You're aware that the marching band sometimes gets a bad reputation, right?
Well, I think they shine a positive light on the school.
Directing you back to my question, are you aware that the marching band sometimes does get a bad reputation?
From some people, but I think they shine a positive light on the school.
So, Mr. Perkins, that's a yes to my question, right?
Sometimes.
And are you aware that there were suspicions that the source of Adderall was coming from the marching band?
Yes, it was possible.
All right, let's talk about a couple kids in that marching band. First, Ray Concha. Were you aware that Mr. Concha had access to Adderall through a prescription?
It was common knowledge that Ray had a prescription for Adderall.
So you were aware that he did have access to amphetamines, yes or no?
He had access to Adderall, that's all I knew.
Now let's talk about Alex Weaver. On direct examination, you talked about her behavior. You think Alex Weaver has bad behavior, is that right?
She's a problematic student.
And the reason that you think Alex has bad behavior is based in part because she would ask to go to the bathroom, is that right?
Well, she would ask to miss class.